Hey everybody, here's your video for the 3-3 Math Excel. So on the first one, it's 332. It says find all whole number solutions of the system using a table. So the first inequality is x plus y less than 8, and then 4x less than or equal to y plus 3. So first you want to determine which inequality has a finite or limited number of solutions. So this x plus y less than 8 is the one that does that, because the graph of it, when you move the x over, turns into negative x, and then you graph it with 0, 8, and then down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. So you're actually between 8 and 8 here, and it's a dashed line because it doesn't have the bar underneath. So that's the one that has a finite number of solutions. It doesn't go on forever. It's not what we call unbounded. That's bounded. Okay, and then for this one, it has 4x less than or equal to y plus 3. So when I rearrange that, you put the y greater than or equal to, and then move the 3 to this side. So basically it's opening to the y, so I keep it that way and I don't change the sign. But then the 3 comes over, so I do change the sign of the 3. So these two are what we call the same. It's called an identity. And so you'd go to -3, but you know, on these graphs we just care about positive numbers, whether it's x or y. So go here, and then it's really here, up 4, right 1, up 4, right 1. So it's like that. So this shaded area would go on and on and on. It's not finite. So then the next step is to make a table. So for the x plus y less than 8, you're basically going from 0 to 7, and then if x is 0, then it's any number between 0 and 7. And so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then when this is 1, then you move this over, so 8 minus 1 is 7, so it's any number between 0 and 6, including those. So that goes from 0 to 6. You do the same thing for these, and so it kind of just like slants down like that. Okay, so that's this part. So you get fewer and fewer solutions as x gets bigger. So that's just for the first inequality. Now you want to identify which pairs satisfy this other inequality. So from all of those, I'm looking at row 0. And when I put x equals 0 in here, then I have 0 less than or equal to y plus 3. And so automatically the 3 will make any value true. And so it works from 0 to 7. Now I'm going to start checking for x equal 1. And so when I check my first value, x equal 1 means I put the 4 times 1 here, and I'm going to check a y value of 0, so 0 plus 3 would be 3. That means 4 less than or equal to 3, and that's not true, it's false. So that one is not true. But then for x equal 1, everything else, like from 2 all the way up to from 2 all the way up is true, and so that's going to work. So 1, 6, And then I checked 2 with 0, that was false, and I checked 2 with 1, was also false. Then I checked 2 with 5. Now on that one, 4 times 2 is 8, and then 5 plus 3 is also 8. So that's the first case where that'd be true. So x equal 2 with y equal 5 works. And then I checked row with x equal 3 and y equal 4, and that was false, because I'm just trying the very edges now. And if it was true, then I'd try others. So then for this one, with x equal 4 and y equal 3, this would be 16 and this would be 9, which is also false. And so then everything else was also false. So your answer, after all of that, you basically say these worked, some of these others worked, and then one other solution worked. So these are the ones that are true. 0 for 0 to 7, 1 for 1 to 6, so we skipped the 0, and 2, the very last entry. So those are the ones that are true, which would be shaded blue in your math Excel. The others are going to be black. And it's a multiple choice question, and so you have to choose the right one. Okay, on this one we want to graph the solutions of the given system of linear inequalities. And similar to just when we were graphing lines, for this one we start at 0, -5, and then you want to go right 3, up 1. The other thing you want to pay attention to is this had to be a dashed line. Now on this one we want to start with 0, 3, and then go right 1, up 1 because of our slope, and have a solid line. Now about the shading, it's not exactly the same as the calculator, because on the calculator, if you were shading this, you'd go to add a graph, and then menu, graph entry, relation, and I need y less than 3x minus 5. So that's shading on the right, and this one y less than or equal to x plus 3. So that's shading on the left. And now how this is different from the Math Excel is, on Math Excel they only want you to shade once where it matches both criteria. So in this case it'd be below the first, and actually below the first and the second. And so it's this purple region. I'm going to go ahead and do menu, window, zoom fit, which is A. On zoom fit, it adjusts your Y's, but it doesn't adjust your X's. So here you can see a little better. It's shaded below this one, and it's shaded below that one, and then the combination part was purple, because red and blue is purple. So that'd be the one that you needed. You have to like graph it on the calculator, on the Math Excel. And again, make sure you use a dashed line for the right one. Okay, now some of these others I just graphed by hand to make it a little quicker. So this one was multiple choice. You have y less than or equal to 2x plus 1, which is already ready. And you had -4x plus 2y is greater than 9. So that one I need to solve for y. So I move my 4x over, so I have a positive 4x, and then I divide everything by 2, so I get greater than 2x plus 9/2. So then I can start at the 1 and go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. On this one, I go to 9/2, which is 4.5 basically, and I go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. So for the one that I'm pointing at, the red one, that's a dashed line, and it wants above. And for this one, it wants a solid line, and it's below. Now they want to know the solution, like if there's an overlap, and there isn't because they're parallel. So this means no solution since they're parallel. So on the next one we have y greater than negative 2x. So I start at 0, and then because that's my y-intercept, and I go down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. Then on this one I have 2x minus y greater than or equal to 3. So I'm going to leave my negative y where it is, move my 2x over so it's negative. Then don't forget, if you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to reverse the direction of your inequality, and it just changes the sign on all of these. So then you're going to start at negative 3, and you're going to go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. So the overlap would actually be this, because I need above the negative 2x, which is the black one, and I need below the 2x minus 3, which is the red one. And so my overlap is this area right there. I put it in blue for the overlap. So that's the only region you're supposed to shade on Math Excel. Sometimes what I do is, like for this red one, I would put a little arrow, like a down arrow like that, for less than, and for this one that's greater than, I would put an arrow like that. That just helps sometimes, and then this would be where we want it. Okay, now on the next one we have an entrance exam, has 2 sections, a verbal and a mathematics section. You can score a maximum of 1,200 points on this one. For admission, the school of your choice requires a math score of at least 500. Write a system of inequalities to model scores that meet the school's requirements. Then solve by graphing. So this one's multiple choice, and if the maximum score was 1,200, you want x plus y is less than or equal to 1,200. Where I'm saying x is math and y is verbal. For the next one, it says a math score of at least 500. At least means greater than or equal to. And so that's the one you're going to want. Now you're going to want to graph it. And I move my x over so it's a negative x plus 1,200. That means I go up 1,200, and then because of my slope of negative 1, I go down 1, right 1, all over. So that goes like that. Now for the x greater than or equal to 500, I label where 500 is, and I know I want to go to the right, so I can do an arrow like that. So basically this point right here was my origin, and this is my y-axis, and this is my x-axis. And so it basically wants this right triangle. On the next one, it says identify the inequalities for which the ordered pair of 5, negative 9 is a solution. On this one, I would just use common sense, because if you use the view and example, it's going to be like 14 parts. So what you want to do is just look at the graphs and see where it's true. There could be more than one answer. Sometimes there were 2 out of 3, you know. It's a select all that apply. Now, what you can also do, besides just looking at the three graphs, is you could substitute the ordered pair 5, -9 into the inequalities and see if it would be true or false. So if it's true, you shade. If it's false, you don't. And there are a few types like this. So like the very next one is the same thing, except you're using 1, -1. So again, look at the graph, see where it's true. There could be more than one. And on this one, just to be really clear, this was one of my inequalities, and so I plugged in -1 for y, kept the half, and then I plugged in 1 for x, and I have -3. So this would be -1 less than or equal to -2.5. So -1 is not smaller, so that's false. So you don't choose all three graphs for that one. That's just an example of one that's false. Now from there, we're going to do some that have three systems. You're going to have one that looks slanted. We also call it oblique. And then you're usually going to have a horizontal and a vertical line. Now this one is using the axis, but they're not all going to use the axis. So to start with, I have 3y less than or equal to 12x, because I moved this over. Then I divided by 3, and so I got y less than or equal to 4x. That has a y-intercept of 0, so I graph 0, 0, and then I go up 4, right 1, and this should be a solid line. So that's my solid line. And it's less than, so I'm going this way. Now for the x greater than or equal to 0, I start with x equals 0, which is my y-axis. Remember, the axis is always opposite of what your equation of your line is. And this one's greater than or equal to, so I'm going to the right. This one is y greater than or equal to 0, so that again is the x-axis, and it's above the x-axis. So we need above the x-axis, right of the y-axis, and below the slanted line, and so that's the overlap of all three. On this one, instead of using 0, they're using -1 for x, and it's dashed, and you're going to the right. And then this one, you're using y greater than or equal to 1, so that's a solid line and going up. And then for the -2x plus 5, I start with 0, 5, look right there, and I go down 2, right 1, and this is a solid line. It's greater than, so I need above. And so to fit all three criteria, it's this one. So be really careful on how you're graphing it, because it kind of has to be perfect. If it's -1 for x, then anything on this line, I use -1, 0 and -1, 1. And on this one, I use 0, 1 and 1, 1, just to make sure it's exactly horizontal and vertical. And on this one, again, make sure you use your slope and y-intercept. Okay, on your next one, you have a rhombus, and it's already shaded, and it says, write a system of inequalities to describe the shaded figure. So it's multiple choice. There's going to be several of them, but all of them have 4 inequalities in each. So I just numbered mine 1, 2, 3, 4. And for this one, my y-intercept is 9, and I'm going up 1, right 3. So, and it's below, so it's less than or equal to. And then for this one, again I'm at 9, and I go down 3, right 1, down 3, right 1. And again, that's below. For number 3, we have this one, which has a y-intercept of -9. And if you start here, you go up 3, right 1 to right there. So that's greater than because it's above. And for this one, number 4, you start at -9, and you're going to go this way, up 3, left 1, and do that over and over. Now normally we would think start at -9 and go down 3, right 1, but that would be outside your rhombus, and so you have to do the opposite. You have to go that way. And so this is the one that I needed. Now these 4 are the order I did, 1, 2, 3, 4, but on Math Excel I don't even know the order. I just had to compare it. They might have said 1 then 2 or whatever. They could have started somewhere else. So again, your numbers are going to look different. Okay, on this one it says graph the solution of the system of linear inequalities. We have less than or equal to -4x minus 4. So I graph 0, -4, and then I go down 4, right 1. And since it's less than or equal to, think you're going to shade below, and it's solid. And on this one, you have y greater than or equal to x plus 4. So start at 0, 4. Then you go up 1, right 1, and think shade above. So above on this one, below on that one, so your overlap is that. So that's what you're going to shade. So on Math Excel, that's where you use the paint key. Okay, and then on our last one, graph the solution set of the system. We've got a horizontal line at -8 that's solid, and you want above. You have a vertical line that's x equal -8, and that's to the right. And then you have this one, which is -2x minus y greater than or equal to 8. So my first step on this one was leave my -y where it is, bring my 2x over here so it's positive. Then, to emphasize, multiply or divide by a negative, switches the sign on all of them, and it changes direction from greater than to less than. So this is now going to be below on this one. And so to the right of this, above this, below that is this right triangle. Okay, so that would be the end of that assignment. Hope that helps.